All right, folks, here's what you need to do before you join any health share. And that is this. You need to read through the member guidelines. And based off of some reviews I've seen lately with different health shares out there, I can kind of tell that people are not reading through the member guidelines. And I will go through that in just a minute, but hear me out. The member guidelines are very important. And yes, I realize they're pretty long, they're boring, there's legal jargon, there's just a lot there, but they're really, really important to read through if you want to have appropriate expectations of what you're getting out of being a member of that health share community. And I think ultimately it's going to help you have a better health share experience. So first of all, those member guidelines are going to talk about what is and isn't shareable with the community. What's considered an eligible medical expense. And once you read through that, are you okay with that? Is that something that you're comfortable with? Does that make sense to you? Next, are there any caps or limitations on sharing? I think this is a pretty big one that I think a lot of people kind of gloss over. They see, okay, $100,000, that's a lot of money. I think we'll be fine. But is it? You know, look at costs of surgeries, hospital stays, common procedures that people, you know, it may be unexpected, it's not a pre-existing condition, but it's still kind of common. So what is some things that are out there that you might need medical expenses for, and is that going to be enough? So there are health shares out there that have caps and limitations on sharing for specific things like, you know, surgeries, maternity benefits, whether you ride a motorcycle or not, things like that. And that might be important for you if you ride a motorcycle or are planning on having kids in the near future. Those are all going to be something to be aware of. And if you're not comfortable with those caps and limitations, well, guess what? There's other health shares out there that have no caps or limitations on sharing on regular eligible medical expenses. That brings us to pre-existing conditions. Pre-existing conditions are basically, every health share is a little different, but they essentially say kind of the same thing, which is, do you have any pain, illness, injury, whether it's been diagnosed or not? If you're suffering from any ailment before you join a health share, they're going to consider that pre-existing condition. And every health share pretty much does. So there's one health share that if it's pre-existing, they will never share in it, like ever. But pretty much all the other health shares will say, okay, we're not going to share it with anything related to that pre-existing condition in the first year. And in the second year of membership, we'll share a certain amount. And then in the next year of membership, we'll share more. And then the next year, the third and fourth year, we'll share this amount. And again, depending on the health share, after the fourth year, they will just have a certain limit on sharing, like $125,000 a year available to that pre-existing condition specifically. And then there's other health shares that say, okay, look, after 4 or 5 years of being a member with us, we're not even going to treat it or consider it a pre-existing condition anymore because you've been with us for 4 or 5 years. So if you have a pre-existing condition and you think you might have some issues down the road, that's something to be aware of and to be something to consider before you join a health share. And also the pre-existing condition thing, I think that's also going to really determine whether a health share is even right for you. I'd say that's probably the biggest determining factor as far as whether I tell people, yeah, I don't think a health share is right for you, or hey, this might be a good option, is pre-existing conditions, if they have one or not. And whether there's going to be some large medical expenses down the road, that's a big one to factor in, and I'll probably do some more videos about that later. But the next thing I would say that the member guidelines really provide you with is appropriate expectations on how long it's going to take for those medical expenses to be paid for or reimbursed. And so I guess there's 2 things I want to mention with this one. Is every health share is going to have a different method of paying for those medical expenses. So the health share essentially provides an organized way of paying for members' medical expenses, right? And when I say provide an organized way of making that happen, they don't all do it the same way. So there's some health shares that will just pay for it. They will contact the hospital or wherever you have your medical expenses that need to be paid for it. They will call them directly, give them a credit card over the phone, and they will pay for it, take care of it, and it's just done. There are other health shares where they will say, okay, send us the bill, send us the itemized list, and we will reimburse you what you paid for or whatever is due. And then it's up to you to take care of those medical bills. I don't think there's any like right or wrong. Like, I don't think there's any like, I think it really comes down to personal preference as far as how you like things to be handled. So that's something to be aware of. Again, in the member guidelines, they're going to go through that. But they're also going to talk about what are the expectations of how long it's going to take for those medical bills to be paid for. So for example, there's some health shares that say, hey, it's going to take up to 90 days for medical expenses to be paid for. Others say 45 days. Others say 10 days. And so that's really good information to know. For example, I was reading through some member reviews on a health share that I'm not affiliated with, and someone was complaining that their medical expenses were paid for in, I think it was like 45 days or 60 days, so a month and a half, 2 months. And they gave the health share a 1-star review. And I found it really fascinating because I'm like, they are complaining about this health share paying within 45, 60 days. But that particular health share, if you read through the member guidelines, they clearly state, hey, it may take up to 90 days for the medical expenses to be paid for. So the health share was well within what they said that they would do, but the member was absolutely just totally livid, gave them a really bad review. And that's kind of an example of, you can kind of tell this person did not read through the member guidelines or did not understand them or know them well enough before they signed up. Maybe a spouse signed up for them or something happened there. I'm not blaming, I'm not judging, I'm just saying there's a lot of good information in those member guidelines. And I think ultimately they're going to tell you whether health share is good for you or not, whether it's the right fit for you, and then ultimately it's going to help you decide which health share is really best for you, your family, your needs, and ultimately it's going to give you a much better chance of having a great experience, a great healthcare experience, and a great experience with your health share membership. And anyways, I hope this video is helpful. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye guys.